In this video, I want to talk about the Yoruba people. Yoruba is one of the most important ethnic group in Nigeria, and Yoruba people mainly inhabit part of Nigeria, Togo, Benin Republic, and through the slave trade as well. There are a lot of Yoruba people in the South America and the Caribbean island areas. Most people really talk about Yoruba population to be around 50 million. It could be more than that actually in terms of the Yoruba people that are in those main areas of West Africa, Nigeria, Togo, Benin Republic, and Yoruba people are there in Ghana as well, Sierra Leone, even up to Senegal, and throughout the West African area.
Yoruba land cover about 142k kilometers square. So if we were to look at the area where you have the highest concentration of Yoruba people in Nigeria, Benin and Togo, so it's just going to be something like this. So the map will look something like this, and this is where you have highest concentration of Yoruba people. So you just have a little part of Togo, and then you have some part of Benin Republic, and then also you then have a lot of the Nigeria southwestern area and all this area here. So these are the areas where Yoruba land, and this is just like a rough area where you have the highest concentration of Yoruba people in Africa.
As a Yoruba man, I am really very proud of my identity. I'm very proud of the Yoruba language. We do have our language as well called Ede Yoruba, and Yoruba language is really very rich as well, just like most languages in the West African area, or maybe let me say in Africa, because we do have various languages that are really very unique, that make different ethnic groups to be unique. And the Ede Yoruba is something that I'm always really very passionate about. When I have opportunity to speak Yoruba with my brothers and sisters who are Yoruba, I always really cherish that opportunity. And this is something that makes Yoruba people unique in terms of like the richness of the language of Yoruba. And also there is something we also say in Yoruba about Omoluabi. Omoluabi just simply means that somebody that really have integrity in terms of like the honesty and the way you deal with people, being polite, and kindness and generosity. All of these are together that are kind of like a come together to come to what Yoruba people call Omoluabi. Something that's been taken away from Yoruba people through slavery and colonization is the spirituality. Yoruba have a unique way of worshiping, God or ancestors, and Yoruba spirituality is really very unique. And this is something that is really very important to Yoruba people. I mean, part of Yoruba spirituality is the Ifa divination, which is almost like a knowledge database system, really. And Ifa actually has connection with computer. So you have 256 Odu Ifa, and you have 256 bytes as well that has to do with computer. And then Ifa divination is done through a binary system, 0 and 1s, and you have 0 and 1s as well as the binary system of the computer. And this is an area that hasn't really been explored enough. The culture of Yoruba is very rich, and you can see the display of Yoruba culture in some of the most important festivals in Yoruba land. Among them are the Olojo Festival in Ile-Ife, Osun-Osogbo Festival in Osogbo, and Ojude-Oba Festival in Ogun State. And you also have Eyo Festival in Lagos. And there are a lot of numerous festivals that happen across Yoruba land. And these festivals, they are so important, and they do display Yoruba culture. Something very unique in Yoruba culture is the way we greet. So when you're greeting somebody that is older than you, you have to show a sign, and that sign is a sign of respect. And for male, you usually we have to lie down flat flat on the floor, and that is prostrate. So you do that to show that you are respecting that person, and that person is older than you. And for ladies, it's usually, or for female, it's usually to kneel down. So they kneel with their two nails, really. So they kneel down, and then that is a way to be able to show that you respect the person that you're greeting. And that is a very unique part of Yoruba culture. Yoruba hat is unique, and this is something that also shows how intelligent Yoruba people are. It shows the high intellectual capacity of Yoruba people. A very good example is the bronze head of Ife, and this is something that that is kind of like a centuries years old, many century year old piece of hat. And how that was actually developed even during that period is really extraordinary. And then you have the terracotta, and all of these hats, and even the current hats that are also there. A very good place that all these hats are in display is the Nike Art Gallery in Lagos, and and the National Museum of Nigeria as well, so where you can see some extraordinary work of art that has been developed hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And this is something that always show how intelligent Yoruba people are. I want to talk about names in Yorubaland. Names are really very important, and unlike some culture where they just give a name randomly to a child, in Yorubaland, names are very powerful because they have to have meaning. There's something in Yoruba they say, Ilela wo kato somo loruko. Almost like you have to think about something that is happening around, or there has to be a story behind a name. Even the so-called some common names like Ade, it just means crown. Like my name Ade Sonya, Ade means crown, and then Sonya, the second part of my name, it means something else, and it just have a story. And every name that you see around in Yoruba land, it just shows maybe something that is happening at the time that that child was born, or maybe something that relates to a trait that the family usually do, or maybe relate to an event. So you have names like Abiona, so meaning that the mother was maybe on the journey, and why the child has to be given birth to, and then you have names like maybe Ifatunde or Fatunde, so which means that the family of that particular person that bears that name, or their ancestors, they do Ifa, Ifa divination, or like Ayondele, that shows the ancestry of that particular person that they do Ayon, like drama in their home. So, and this is something really very unique with Yoruba people in terms of how they name, how they give name. It is really very important to talk about the system of government of Yoruba land before colonization. We know colonization and imperialism and slave trade really caused a lot of damage to Yoruba land, and a lot of other countries in Africa as well, and a lot of other ethnic groups, but specifically to Yoruba people in terms of like the democracy, the Western democracy that we do have now. In Nigeria, for example, having that Western democracy, the combination of the British and the American system of government. But in terms of Yoruba land, there who were, a system of government before in various parts of Yoruba land. A very good example is the Oyo Empire, so which was one of the most prominent empires in Africa that even extends up to the present day Benin Republic, part of present day Benin Republic, when when Oyo Empire was at its height. And that Oyo Empire, there was Oyomesi. Oyomesi was kind of the system of government that they had that period, and everything was working fine, and before colonization and everything comes, and then Nigeria formed, and then we now have the Western democracy that we do have nowadays. And I have to talk about the Oyo Empire, which I've talked about Oyo Empire already. So Oyo Empire is one of the kind of the symbol of Yoruba, the symbol of Yoruba power, and the symbol of Yoruba might, even before colonization, which is the kind of like Oyo Empire is still usually being made reference to even in this modern day world. Yoruba people are very intelligent, and they are among some of the most intelligent people in the world. You can see Yoruba people everywhere you go, really, in the world, in every sector, whether in medicine, whether in philosophy, whether in art, whether in literature, whether in, I can't start to mention Yoruba people who are really very important in the world, that occupy important position in the world. And you can see it in the music industry as well. And even talking about Yoruba language, that is so unique that most of the Nigerian artists that are doing really well, going for all these tours abroad and all over the world, they usually we have some Yoruba language in their music, and this shows the power of Yoruba language, and also shows the power of Yoruba people in terms of how intelligent that they are. And even in Nigeria space, Yoruba people are among the most educated set of ethnic group in Nigeria, with all the diversity of Nigeria ethnic group. Yoruba really take important space in academics and in various fields of life in Nigeria space and all around the world. Yoruba population is huge, and if you are really interested in knowing a little bit more about Yoruba, I will recommend you watch a documentary on Netflix called Bigger Than Africa. That documentary really shed a lot of light on Yoruba people.